I'm Jay Clutchy, and welcome to By the Numbers. We're here to bring you important updates and rigorous debate on the triumphs and shortcomings of the week. This is our first of many broadcasts, and you can check it out online once a week. I'm just going to introduce our panel here today. So we have Devin Emery, we have Robert Bellardi, and we have Nelson Santo. All right, guys, let's kick this off with some debate on some hockey stuff here. So who do we think is better in the long run for the season? Mitch Marner, Austin Matthews, or William Nylander? So, Devin, let's start with you.
Well, you know what I mean. I have Austin Matthews as the top rookie in the whole season, not only for the Leafs, but for the whole league. This kid, he scored 4 goals in his first game. What else do you need? He scored 4 goals. He's been on fire the whole season. He's already got 10 points. He was leading the league in goals for the first couple of weeks of the season. I don't think there's any debate. What do you guys think?
Well, you know, if I'm going to put my finger down like this, I'm going to pull a Don Cherry moment right now. I actually tend to disagree here with the point. I think we focus way too much on Austin Matthews, way too much. I think we're not focusing on the
46 shots on goal. He's a fantasy stud.
We're not focusing on the small players. We're focusing here on the guys who are going to get it done. That is going to be Mitch Marner. Not only is he not on a veteran line, Bozak, Van Riemsdyk, great support. He's got 8 points. He had that beautiful assist that made it on TSN 1v1 for how many times? How many times?
That doesn't matter. You're going to look at TSN. You're going to look at the highlight of the night. What is that?
It doesn't matter. It's going to be the premise.
We're talking about stats. And right now, Austin Matthews is getting it done.
If you really think that Austin Matthews is going to lead the line, that's fine by me. But, you know, I'm going to tell you right now, Mitch Marner is going to be the real deal. Great winger, excellent shot, good speed, gets in the dirty zones. That's a good kid right there.
We're talking about stats. Nylander, Rookie of the Year for October, leading the Leafs in rookies with points, and actually leading the team with 11 points. He plays with Matthews, who's going to help him, but Nylander's that one guy.
So you're saying because Matthews is playing with Nylander, that's why Nylander's doing well?
I think both of them are going to die out. I mean, I don't know what you guys are talking about this one line. Too young of a line here that thinks it's going to go far.
How old is Mitch Marner?
Marner?
19, I think.
He's 97? Okay, he's 19.
He's a young kid.
That's fine. So is Matthews. He's 19.
Exactly. So we're talking about
there's no age difference. I don't understand the argument.
My argument is that this is his first season. Am I right?
Right.
Mitch Marner, this is his second season?
No, first.
This is the first
He's a rookie.
season.
Okay.
All 3 of them are rookies.
He's a rookie. All 3 of them are rookies.
But who started off hot?
Yeah, and who's been going cold?
Who's been
5 games without a point.
Thank you. Great argument. Even though I'm not on the side of Nylander, I really support that point.
Nylander's still doing his job while Matthews is going
What I don't
cold.
support about Nylander is just simply that he's on the... Okay, Matthews is center, Hyman's left wing, and Nylander's right wing. Where's the veteran leadership here? There's nothing there. There's nothing there to calm those kids down. What if you're in a very bad situation? What if you're a goal down, 30 seconds left in the game, and you want to throw that line out on the ice? I don't think so. I think you're going to throw Bozak, Van Riemsdyk, and Marner out on the ice. There's veteran leadership on this team. Marner is going to be the good kid
You put
right
on
here.
the kid who has the most goals. And who has the most goals right now? It's Austin Matthews.
Right now. We don't know how it's going to go, but how it's going to go
He's rookie
in
of
good
the year
perspective.
material. These other kids, they don't have it.
Marner.
They don't have that
gonna be
X
Marner.
factor. Matthews, he hustles. He gets back on D. He can shoot the puck. He can deke around anybody. He saw his first game.
And Marner can't do that either?
No, not to the level of
Absolutely
Matthews. Not
he can.
at all.
Absolutely he
That
can.
was a 1-game thing, though. That won't happen many more times.
I think he's on a conversation about a month ago right now. But even for you, Nylander, I don't think so. I may not just cut it.
He's leading the Leafs in points.
All right, well, we got some strong opinions on that one there. Let's move on to another hockey question here. Is it better to have a star player on your team or a team full of depth players throughout the season? So, Rob, why don't we start with you this time?
Okay, I'm going to go with depth players, and here's why. They're much more reliable to get you a consistent amount of points. If you always rely on that star guy to get you everything, and you don't have support down the table of all your players, it's going to be a little bit off balance. You need some good consistency. And I'm looking right now here. Brandon Saad would be one of my 2 top choices that I would go with. 3 goals, 4 assists, total of 7 points, and he's a +5. Very good player right now for Columbus. Another guy I would go with is Tanner Pearson. And I really like Tanner Pearson. He's a physical player. He's a physical player. He's only 18%
what is-
owned, and I'm going to tell you right now, going
where's
down to
LA?
this season,
Where's
doesn't
LA?
matter where LA is. It's going to matter about where Pearson is for your team and what he's going to do. Pearson is that one physical guy. He gets in front of the net. He reminds me of Holmstrom when he used to play for Detroit. He gets in those dirty areas, and he gets you the points that you need. This number right here, 18%, is going to increase further on in the season for fantasy.
They
Nelson,
have
what-
too many-
it's all about
they
star
have too
players.
many players on LA.
It's all about star players. Whenever you
Also-
need that big goal, you have that star player coming out. Like Crosby will always come up clutch when it's time for a goal, whenever you need a goal.
And what about Crosby and all his injuries? What if he gets injured? Where's the rest of your team? You
Malkin, another star
you
player.
trade all your depth players on your fantasy team, and what are you left? What are you left with? One star player, two star players. What if they have off nights? What are you gonna do?
Of course they have off nights, but that does. At the end of the day, your star players are the ones that get you where you want to go.
But hang on a second. You're agreeing that they have off nights. That's
Of
perfectly
course.
fine. Okay, that's fine.
Everyone has an off night.
So if you don't have depth players on a star player's off night, where are your points coming from?
Your points will always, at the end of the day, your star players will get you where you want to go. We see it through history. It's always been happening. Crosby's been always there for those big goals. Patrick Kane, Jonathan Taves have always been there. They're the star players, and they're the ones that get you at the end. They're your core players. Your core players are your star players.
me ask
And they end up
Sometimes
getting
I
into
wonder about you.
I don't know. I don't
wonder.
understand.
All right, well,
I
let's
agree.
leave the last word at that. And let's move on to some NBA talk. So DeMar DeRozan is averaging 36.3 points per game this season. Do you guys think this is going to continue? What do you think, Nelson?
I don't think so. Just like, for example, last year, the best player was Steph Curry, and he finished with an average of 30 points per game. So it's very difficult to always keep up, especially that big
But
amount
what do you
of.
mean he's not gonna? Of course, he's not gonna finish with 36. Nobody's saying that. But
That's
is he
what the
gonna be the
question
Raptors'
was.
top guy? Is he gonna be the Raptors' top guy? Yes or no?
That's not what the question was. Is if we'll
No,
continue
I'm
keeping this
asking,
up?
I'm
It
asking.
won't
I'm
keep
curious.
up.
I'm curious.
I think so.
He's gonna be the Raptors'
I
top guy?
would agree he's the Raptors' top guy.
Of course.
And I'll say why. He is
But he's not gonna
hungry.
continue it.
He is hungry. No, he's going to continue. He's hungry.
I don't think so.
Last year, when they were ranking the top 100 players, he finished 44th. This guy is mad. And he's mad, and he's out hunting right now. And he's hunting for all these points. He's going to get you all the points you want. He's out to prove every single critic in the league right now why he deserves to be in the top 10. And he won't do it right now with the
Top
Raptors.
10 guy. He's
I don't
not a top 10
think- he's not a top 10 guy.
He's
He may
not.
not be a top 10 guy, but he.
What did he do last year
might
in the
improve.
playoffs?
He's going to improve.
He was horrible. He was
I
absolutely
don't
horrible
think
for
I
most of the
bring
playoffs.
it down to horrible, but I think I bring it down to inconsistent. That I can tend to and agree with that he was
I don't know.
inconsistent last year.
He's
That's fine.
He's
but
a
when
20,
it comes down
25
to
point
this,
guy.
Yeah,
This
he's not gonna keep it
36
up.
points.
There's 36. He's
This
joining
is
elite
not-
company. He's
I-
done it for 3 games
he's
in a
not
row.
there yet.
He's done it
It's
for
too
3 games
early.
in a row.
People are still
He
getting their
joins
feet underneath
Jordan,
him.
James. He's a part of this good elite conversation.
too early.
Now he's out to prove
The
himself.
Raptors have too many guys, too many scorers.
Who else is going to score?
They have Kyle, and Jonas, I believe, is going to take a step up.
Okay, so those 2 guys, and then who else? Who's
They
going to
still
score?
have Damari.
Patterson?
They still have Damari Carroll. He's another 15-point guy, maybe 10 to 15-point guy.
Okay.
You have Patrick Patterson, like you said, who can get points. Corey Joseph can get you points
They can get
quickly.
points, but how many? How many? And this is why DeRozan it needs to prove himself. And this is the exact conversation that we are having right now. And it's going to be spoken about amongst every other person in the league, in the NBA. Is DeRozan going to be a consistent player? The answer in the past has always been no. He has not been a consistent player.
He has so much to work on,
This
man.
is the year that he is going to be a consistent player, in my eyes. This is the time to turn it around. And for fantasy players, this is a very good option
So
to
where
take.
do you say he ends up at the end of this season? Top 10?
Top
10
10
player?
Top 10.
Oh, no.
I don't think so.
I think top 10.
He's
I,
a top 20
I
player
firmly
at
believe
best.
top 10.
At best, he's a top 20 player.
So you think he's going to finish 15, 16? Behind who? Who's
At
going?
best.
Who is going to surpass
best.
DeRozan?
Because there's still these young kids coming up, the rookies from last year, that are so talented. You have Karl Anthony Towns being drafted first overall in the first round in some leagues. In my league, he went 5th overall. He went above Kevin Durant. He went above Kyle Lowry, above all these. Like, there's so many guys that are coming up now in the league that are surpassing him. DeRozan's getting old now. He's not a young kid. This is the season. If he doesn't make the jump, then, what's the point of hanging on to him?
Well, we're seeing it right here. He's making the jump. He's signed a max deal. This is where you need to make a name for yourself. And DeRozan's always somewhat done that, but it hasn't been at that superstar status. The Raptors have never had a superstar status. I think DeRozan's trying to make a push for that kind of a name.
I don't think he'll get there.
I don't think he'll
I think
be
so.
at
He'll
that
get there.
Vince
I think so.
Carter, Chris Bosh
Yeah, he's
level.
not close to that.
Stats-wise, He's playing well right now for fantasy leagues, definitely right now. But it's like a lot of times if you can trade him while he's hot, do it. I think that's the
I don't
type
think
of player
so.
he is.
I don't think you
when
can
he's
get rid of him
hot
at
right
the
now,
moment.
you look for the best deal possible before he drops down to his average 25 points, maybe at best. Because you can get better guys that will get you maybe the same amount of points and more rebounds or more assists. Just fill out the stat sheet a little bit more than he does.
Oh, I like him. If I was playing fantasy right now for NBA, I would really want him.
Just this
You would
past,
hold on to him?
just his past
Absolutely,
two
I would.
seasons, last year, for example, he averaged 23.5 points.
Okay, 23.5
You think he's gonna?
is not
That's
terrible.
That's almost
Okay, but
10
LeBron
point
James
jump.
is considered as the best player in the NBA, and he only averages about that amount during the season. It
But
comes down
what
to
else does LeBron
but,
do?
But he does it in the playoffs. That's
No,
something
sir.
that's something
does that in the
that
playoffs,
the Raptors
but-
need to do.
Look at his stat line. He puts up double-doubles, triple-doubles almost every single game. DeRozan's not that guy.
Because DeRozan's a pure scorer. There's a different. DeRozan
he
is a pure
doesn't play
scorer. He's going to
defense
get you
for you.
points.
He's not going to get blocks. He's not going to get too many steals. But he's going to be your scorer.
But he
and
can
he's
be
going to
rebound-
average
he can
5,
rebound and
4
assist.
rebounds. Lowry and Joseph handled those for the Raptors. And I don't think he's going to continue the scoring that he is now at a 30-point
think so.
pace. I think you trade him.
I think we're going to have.
I think you trade
We're
him.
going to see then in Yahoo
You get the
who
best
comes
deal
out with the
possible.
best guys.
Well, let's just to close this off in terms of top scorers. We've heard from you, pro DeRozan clearly, and we've heard some names from you there, Devin. So Nelson, let's give you the last word. Who are you looking at in terms of top scorers, if not DeRozan?
If it's not DeRozan for the Raptors or for the whole
Yeah.
league? For the Raptors, it's hard to make a case, but I would say probably you have Lowry. How can you not? He's the guy at the backcourt, always taking charge of everything.
Yeah.
He's the one who commands the whole team, right? So, gotta look
Okay.
at him, right?
Even though Lowry's getting older, I think he still has what it takes. You know,
Yeah.
he's still that pit bull for the Raptors and that guy that's going to get it done in the clutch. Who do the Raptors give the ball to in the clutch? It's not DeMar, it's Kyle.
Kyle Lowry.
All
He
right.
takes the last shot.
Moving forward with NBA, would you rather have the Warriors and Cavs players, so Durant and James, or a good player on an average team, Westbrook or Lillard? What do you guys think? Anybody here?
For me, I would take a Russell Westbrook over a Steph Curry or Kevin Durant any day of the week. Simply because, well, especially this year, because Westbrook is angry. Westbrook is a man on a mission. And you saw, maybe not so much last night against the Golden State Warriors, but in the past couple of games, he's just been a monster. He's setting NBA records. He's setting triple-double records each year. And this year, especially with no Durant, he's the main guy. There's no question about it.
Absolutely.
You know?
I would agree. I think Westbrook is arguably the best point guard in the league, hands down. For fantasy, one of the top picks that you can get. Even same with Damian Lillard. I don't think that choosing an amazing player such as a Durant, a Thompson, or a Curry on an amazing team, I feel that it's a negative because you're not going to get the amount of points that they know they can get every single night. They're not going to come out and score 30 all the time. You're not going to get 25, a consistency of 28 or something like that. Whereas if you choose a Westbrook, Anthony Davis has been going off, and he's been
He's
producing
on a horrible
points.
team. I feel so bad for
I
Davis.
know, I understand. I know the Pelicans, I feel bad for them too. The Pelicans are not the best team in the league. They're just an average Joe. But you know what? When you look at Anthony Davis, he stands above them all, and he proves himself. And he does very
But
well
is
every season.
Davis, are you going to take Davis over James Harden?
And no. Now, this is the change of the conversation. James Harden is also on a poor team. The Rockets, they're a very poor team. If you watch James Harden play, his defensive statistics are not exactly there. However, for fantasy, he produces points year in and year out, all the time for the Rockets. He's the go-to guy on that team. So when you choose a go-to guy in an average team, you know you're going to get the points.
But can you trust him?
Yes. I would take James Harden on my
trust
fantasy team.
I'd take a great player on a great team any day. How can you go against LeBron James?
You want
He was
LeBron James?
down 3-1 last year. Let's not forget. He come back and with that block at the end, and he comes and wins the
Talking
game.
about
Last
his
year,
wins,
the
but
past-
Doesn't matter. He's still
Listen,
they're undefeated. 4-0
He
Cavs.
saves a lot of that for the playoffs. Like he's a great.
They're 4-0.
Great player, of course. 4-0.
They're 4-0.
that's
We're
great.
not going
How
to take
can you
away
go
that he
against
has a
them?
great team.
You know he wins
Can't
games.
go against
but
LeBron
Yeah,
James.
exactly.
We're talking about points. We're talking about rebounds. We're
Talking about would you
assists.
rather have a great player on a great team or a great player on,
Yes.
on a weak team? Obviously, a great team. Why not?
I want to put some hypothetical question in front of you. Okay, hang on. Let's put a hypothetical question. You choose Klay Thompson. Okay? You choose
Okay.
No,
Steph
hold
Curry.
on.
Hang-
He's
hang-
talking about LeBron.
No, okay,
Let's
fine.
talk about
okay,
LeBron.
Talk about
absolutely
LeBron
right. Okay,
then.
we're not
He
talking about
has-
you take LeBron James.
He has Kyrie Irving
Okay.
on the team, who's
Okay.
going to take points from him.
Okay.
Because if you have Westbrook, who else is going to take points from Westbrook? Who else does he
Who?
have?
Steven Adams?
Because
No, thank you.
There's nobody. Because you have a LeBron James who has Kyrie Irving, he has J.R. Smith, he has all these egos around him, right? He has
Kevin,
Kevin Love.
Kevin Love especially.
They're going to
And
take
West-
rebounds. They're going to take Kyrie's going to take his assists.
Okay.
How is that going to benefit you?
And
in the long
Westbrook's gonna get 30+ points every night for the
Yes.
rest for 82
Yes.
games.
I
I
100% agree.
I don't
That's
think
going
it'd be
back to
30
the
I don't think it'd be
DeRozan
30 plus
conversation.
points, but
But
it'd be
Westbrook has
it'd be
proven it.
high 20s, and he gets you in all-around basis. In NBA, the fantasy in NBA,
LeBron James
it
does it.
calculates
We-
above different categories: assists, rebounds, and points. If Westbrook can dominate those three already on his
Okay.
own, that's your number one guy. Does LeBron James?
Doesn't he
No.
not get almost triple doubles every night?
Yeah, but LeBron
Almost
James
every
does
night?
it in minute numbers.
No way.
They're not an extensive number. LeBron James is not going to get 30 points, 20 rebounds,
he's not.
20 assists. Absolutely not. He's going to get you maybe 20 points. He's maybe get maybe 11 boards, 12 assists, something along those lines. Westbrook, yeah, the other night he had 51 points. It was like something of 15 assists, 18 rebounds. It was so outrageous and such a dominant performance that's what you can expect out of a player like him.
But what about a player on the Warriors? Let's go to the Warriors, with everybody going there now. And
Perfect. Let's go to-
who would you take there on the Warriors? Like, who do you think?
You can go Steph Curry. You can go Kevin Durant. How can you not go with one of those two? I
Would
kind
you-
of think
you would
Klay
take them
Thompson
over-
stepping back a bit with Kevin Durant coming in.
Yeah, he's
Yeah, I can.
Just watching a few of their games,
Yeah, he is.
you've noticed-
Even
you've
Draymond
noticed.
Green,
he's
not
a fourth
producing
round.
Yeah, they're not
yes,
producing
He's
as
a
much.
fourth round pick player in most fantasy leagues, and if you don't. I just don't believe in him anymore. You know, he's the third wheel. He's the new Chris Bosh. So if you did draft him, you need to look for the best deal out. He's taken up a less role already, the first week and a half into the season, and that's just getting started because Durant's gonna want to take over once he gets to know the offense and
Oh
the
yeah,
team a little
and he's
bit
already
more.
getting to know a little bit more, and that's fine. Durant's respect. I think Thompson might end up leaving. Fantasy
Yeah.
players are going to be disappointed this year with Klay Thompson. He's not doing well.
Hey, if you own him, you hope that he leaves. You hope that he gets.
You hope
traded.
that maybe he can
Yeah.
actually have a good rally of games to get himself back in form, and then maybe ship him off, get something better for him.
Yeah, but even in the Golden State Warriors, if they look to trade him for, say, maybe like a DeMarcus Cousins, that would be huge for not only fantasy owners but the Golden
It'd be
State
a good
Warriors in
center.
general.
It'd be a good center.
Um,
Even him, DeMarcus Cousins, another good player.
another great player.
A
on
great
bad
player
team.
on a bad team. And I would have DeMarcus Cousins on my fantasy team any day of the week.
Yeah, he's a first-round player. You know, he does everything. It's just his attitude. You know, he gets tossed out of games. Like the other night, he got all 6 fouls in the fourth quarter.
Oh, yeah, that was rough.
How can you trust
That
him?
was rough.
Like, can
Yeah.
you trust that
And you know what?
kind of player?
Can you
I
trust
don't
that kind
know.
of player? It's just maturity. He's got to mature, he's got to develop, and that's fine. But for fantasy right now, as long as he's dominating certain aspects of the board, he's dominating points, he's dominating rebounds, which is
But
two
he's
number
still,
one go-tos.
again,
That's great.
He's
That'll
still
work
not the
for
best
you.
center. He's still not the best center.
Who'd you take over him?
There's Anthony Davis, and then I would also take Karl Anthony Towns, as I mentioned earlier. I think
No Marc Gasol?
no,
You don't like Marc Gasol?
he's a third-round guy that will get you numbers, but not to the degree of those three.
I think he's a good in-depth player to have Marc Gasol for your fantasy.
Yeah.
I think so. And you know what? The other week, in the first couple of games, he shot a couple threes. I mean, good for him. I mean, who knows? It's not the old Shaquille O'Neal, Orlando Magic 1-3 of his career. I mean, Marc Gasol is not too bad from the three-point line.
Anthony Davis can do the same thing. All these big men.
I'm not taking
The
that
game
away.
is changing, right? So all these big men, they have to be able to shoot from that perimeter. Because if they can't, then what? You have an Andre Drummond who can't shoot free throws, who can't shoot the ball in general. You have him just in the low post. But with Karl Anthony Towns, he's ready to be MVP. If not this year, in the next 2 years.
All right, well, let's leave it there for now. Moving on to our last category, we're going to be talking a bit about the NFL. And here's the question. Kirk Cousins is second overall in passing behind Drew Brees with 2,454 yards. He has 12 touchdowns. He is not known to be close to the top too often. Was this a good fantasy choice for players? What are you thinking, Rob?
I say no. I don't like Kirk Cousins too much. I don't feel he's been very consistent. I understand this is a breakout year, but Washington is last in the division. Washington are behind, way far behind the Dallas Cowboys, who, if you have Dallas in your fantasy, if you have even Prescott or Ezekiel Elliott, you are rolling right now. You are dominating your league right now because of those guys. But sticking to the topic of Kirk Cousins, I don't like him. I don't think he's going to get.
What's wrong with him?
I don't think he's going to get
like
that.
that? You like that?
I don't like that. I don't like that. No, absolutely
What's
not.
wrong with him?
I don't like Kirk Cousins. I don't feel he's going to get you
Have
the
you seen
30
his,
touchdowns.
Have you seen his stats this
Have
season?
you watched Washington this year?
Yeah, but we're talking
Doesn't
about
matter.
what they're doing now, right?
What
He's
they're
got
doing-
12 TDs. He's got over 2,500
Second.
yards.
He's ranked second.
Second.
in
It's
passing.
about
Let him
now,
run second.
right? It's
But let
about
me put
now.
this into perspective. Drew Brees does well in fantasy all the time. Why? Because of his consistency of yards
Yes.
and of his
Okay.
touchdown passes. That is where you need to define your fantasy quarterback, is about touchdown passes. This guy right now, look, he's got 12 touchdowns, 7 picks. Let's take that into perspective that they're almost neck and neck. That should not be like that from a
He's-
first-string quarterback.
He's
no,
not.
thank
no,
you.
I don't agree. He's not a. He should not be your starting QB. He's a great second QB. Because if one of your quarterbacks are on a bye week, that's the guy you want. Who else is going to get it done for you?
You
As a
even go-
second string quarterback.
As
Who
a
else?
second string, you can go Derek Carr, Oakland. And Oakland have been doing
I
very
don't
well
know.
this year.
Derek Carr is still shaky. He's
Yeah.
very shaky.
I don't know.
He
I
has
don't think-
games where he
Shows
he
up
puts
and he
up
doesn't.
like 20, 25 fantasy points. And then you have games where he puts up like 10 fantasy points. And it's not, his consistency is off compared to Cousins. Cousins always puts up at least 15 or so fantasy points. And as a backup QB, you can't ask for much more.
I don't know. Derek Carr, he's got 2,321 yards, 17 touchdown passes, 3 interceptions. That is progress. 165.94.
Most of those
fantasy
come
points.
on the road because he hasn't been doing that well at home, though.
No, he hasn't. But you know what? Oakland have done very well on the road. I believe, if
Can
I'm
you
not
trust him
mistaken,
down the
that this
stretch?
week.
Because
let's
Oakland,
see where
Oakland
they're
has
playing.
not made the playoffs in how long?
Okay, they haven't made the playoffs
So-
since Rich Gannon was there.
So
okay,
how,
so it's been
how can
a
you,
long
How
stretch.
can you trust someone like Derek Carr who has
No experience in the playoffs.
has not proven anything? He's still a young
Let's-
kid.
well, they have to
who's
get to the
learning.
playoffs.
Kirk Cousins has more experience, and although he was behind for a long time in Washington, he proved himself. He
I
proved
won't. I
himself.
will not take that away from you. Yes, but Derek Carr hasn't been to the playoffs. How do we know? Yes, it's a little bit of a stretch. He's got to make the playoffs, of course. But with making the playoffs, which Oakland hasn't done, which they now have a chance to do, it's going to give him experience. It comes with experience and time. You can't just sometimes hop into the playoffs. There are players that can do that. They hop in the playoffs, they go and they win. Okay, Tom Brady was a perfect example of that. That's Tom Brady. That's a different discussion. But Derek Carr, sometimes you need to develop and nurture in the playoffs. Give him a little bit of time. But right now, he's actually showing what he's made out of, and he's proving that. He's got great passing accuracy right now, and I think that's a good topic. I think that's something going well for them, for not only him and for the Oakland Raiders. It's giving them good positivity to the fans, and fantasy players are going to look to the Raiders as well.
But over Kirk Cousins as a second QB, I don't know. And I think Kirk Cousins, he can run the ball, he can throw the ball. He's a good player, you know. He's solid. He's not gonna win you matchups, but he's also not gonna lose you matchups. And that's the important thing
So he's
in
going
a
to get
second
ties.
string.
I don't
No.
think fantasy players want too many ties. I mean,
We're talking about
no,
ties.
we're talking about ties.
Come on, let's be real here. Kirk Cousins, he's a guy that's solid. He's just gonna get his job done. You know, he's not gonna win you the matchup, but again, like I said, he's not gonna lose you the matchup. So
So what does that
If-
mean
if-
for the fantasy player? If he's not going to win or lose, if the guy wants to win.
as a second string quarterback, that's not his job to win you the matchup. That's on your other players, that other star players that you have, your wide receivers and your running backs.
So he's your second string.
Yes, so
Fine.
You're telling him to
But
hold the
if-
ball.
starting
But you're
Q-
telling
when
me,
you're starting
hang on, but
quarterback,
you're telling me that a second string is second in the league with yards right now. So that's what you want as your second string? I don't
I
think
would
fantasy
take
players are going to
that.
go into that with a second string. I think they're going to choose him as first. with this option.
Kirk Cousins, no.
No, and he's not a first.
No.
So then, if he's going to remain consistent by any matter, like I don't know how he's going to do that. He never has. He's always dropped the ball with consistency to the end of the season, and I just don't see it happening for Kirk Cousins.
All right, well, Devin, I'll give you the last word there today.
Well, just to reiterate, Kirk Cousins, not a starting quarterback for your team, should never be your starting quarterback. If he is, please, I advise you to get a trade for a better quarterback because he's not going to get the job done for you week in and week out. However, as a second string quarterback, he's going to help you. He's going to help you win the matchup. He's going to be solid for you. He's not going to throw away. He's not going to throw away the matchup for you in replace for your starting quarterback. At that point, Kirk Cousins, he'll throw. He's the second leading passing. I don't know where I wrote. Can you just cut that?
He's
Anyway, go on.
second in passing.
Yeah, he's
yards.
second in passing yards.
Yeah.
Okay, go on.
All right, thanks. Well, thank you for watching, guys, this week. Thank you to Devin. Thanks to Rob. Thanks to Nelson today. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We are By the Numbers. My name is Jake Clutchy. And to all the fantasy players out there this week, good luck. Thank you.